Congresswoman Jackie Speier of California. She is a member of the House Intelligence Committee. Congresswoman, thank you for being with us today. And just give us your reaction to the Mueller team questioning the White House Chief of Staff.
Special Counsel Mueller has been very systematic in building blocks that sit on top of each other to make a very strong foundation for whatever case he's trying to make. So it doesn't surprise me that he talked to General Kelly, and it doesn't surprise me that the president wanted to fire Mueller. He does not believe in following the law. He never has. I think as we start to unwind his commercial dealings, his business dealings before he was president, we're going to find out that he has violated one law after the other.
Sources say that the questions Kelly focused, that were focused on for Kelly really had to do with potential obstruction of justice. Where else do you think the Mueller investigation is going here?
Well, I think it's very clear that he is going to try and establish the link between the Trump campaign and the Russians through WikiLeaks in terms of trying to undermine the election. I think that's one component. I think obstruction of justice is another component. I think the potential for Russian engagement and financial engagement with the Trump organization is also going to be huge. I think the fact that he brought the CFO in for interviews is going to probably be a significant component in the end.
I do want to shift gears a bit because we know that court documents released last week that Michael Cohen, about Michael Cohen, they say Michael Cohen misled your committee as well as the Senate Intel Committee. He now admits that he lied about his and the Trump family's prolonged involvement in the Trump Tower Moscow proposal during the campaign. Have you gone back and looked at the transcripts of his testimony to your committee to get a better sense of where his and Donald Trump Jr.'s 7 hours of testimony intersect if you have concerns about misstatements?
I haven't personally reread the transcripts yet. I know that the committee staff has, and they will be making recommendations to us. What I find so stunning, and I sat in on virtually every single interview that took place in Washington, D.C. When you swear under oath, my expectation is that you're going to tell the truth. That's the one time and place that you're going to tell the truth. There have been a number of people that we have interviewed that have absolutely lied to us. And you cannot lie to Congress. That is a felony. And I think what needs to happen is that they need to be prosecuted, because for too long, I think that law has just been ignored. And it's time for people to realize that you just cannot lie to the authorities. You cannot lie to Congress.
Do you think Donald Trump Jr. lied to your committee?
I believe he did.
About?
I don't really want to go into it at this point, but I think there's at least two occasions when he lied to the committee.
And did this come to light to you after learning what Michael Cohen said he was dishonest about?
In part, but in part it is somewhat related to documents that we never were able to subpoena because the Republicans were really the puppets of the president in terms of trying to protect him and not being the independent investigative authority that we should have been looking at the issue.
Well, and so you, Democrats, are taking control of the House come next month. Adam Schiff, the incoming Intel chairman, says he wants to bring in witnesses the Republicans did not bring in. You'll have the ability to subpoena those documents that were not subpoenaed by Republicans. What do you want subpoenaed? Who do you want to hear from?
We want to hear from, I think, a number of people that we've already interviewed. There were another 30 individuals we wanted to interview that were never approved by the majority. And then
can you give us a sense of some people? Because I know that part I think you're able to disclose, right?
Well, they're individuals that don't necessarily come to mind in terms of being engaged in the Trump orbit. They're people somewhat tangential to it. But what I would say is that all of the phone bills and phone calls that were made, all of the direct messages, all of the emails that were never subpoenaed need to be subpoenaed for the primary persons that were part of the Trump orbit and campaign.
You said you want to hear from people you've heard from before. Do you want to hear from Donald Trump Jr. and Jared Kushner again?
Absolutely.
Okay, so in that regard, Michael Flynn, he's cooperating with special counsel. He's given 19 interviews at this point. He worked, of course, very closely with Jared Kushner, who testified before your committee. Do you think that there are any implications for Kushner in the fact that Flynn is cooperating with special counsel?
I think that there is probably some implications for Steve Bannon, Jared Kushner. I mean, I can't begin to know what went on in those 19 interviews, but the fact that he is getting virtually no jail time is pretty stunning. It would suggest that he was very fulsome in his interviews and must have provided the special counsel with some very significant information that can be used to make the case to the American people and to Congress as to what went wrong in that election cycle.
Do you expect, just to go back to something I asked you, you want to hear from Jared Kushner, you want to hear from Donald Trump Jr. again. Will you? Are these folks that will be subpoenaed?
I think they will be subpoenaed.
Back?
I think they will be subpoenaed if they don't come voluntarily, and we will certainly subpoena their records.
Do you think it will be public, the hearings?
We're going to try and make as many hearings as possible public. I can't specify which ones. Certainly that's under the control of the chairman of the committee in consultation with the committee. But I think that as many as possible will be made public.
All right, Congresswoman, we really appreciate you being with us. Congresswoman Jackie Speier.